Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk to you not about time, but about life. Because time, after all, is what life is made of. Every day we are given the same gift, 24 hours. No more, no less. And yet some people use this gift to build empires, create art, change lives, while others watch it slip away between the cracks of regret and procrastination. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. Use them intentionally. Each day, when the sun rises, it doesn't rise differently for different people. It doesn't shine brighter for the successful or dimmer for those who feel lost. It gives all of us the same light, the same hours, the same opportunity to begin again. 24 hours, that's what we're all given. No more, no less. The richest person in the world, the most celebrated artist, the most powerful leader, the kindest soul. They all operate under the same rule of time. It's one of the few things in life that is completely fair. It does not discriminate. What we choose to do with those hours is what sets us apart. There is a strange comfort in that truth, knowing that greatness was not born from having more time, but from making better use of it. That dreams weren't achieved in a different kind of day, but in the same kind of 24 hours that you and I live through. The difference is not in the time itself, but in the choices made within that time. The question we must ask ourselves daily is simple. What am I doing with the time I've been given? The truth is, we waste more time than we realize. We wake up, check our phones, scroll through lives that are not ours, compare journeys we were never meant to walk. Minutes turn into hours, into days, lost in distractions that do not serve us. And then we wonder why we feel stuck, unfulfilled, behind. But time was never the issue. It was how we chose to spend it. Being busy is not the same as being intentional. You can fill your whole day with activity and still end the day empty. We live in a world that worships productivity, but often forgets purpose. It's easy to get caught up in the race, to check off lists, to meet deadlines, to chase success as it's defined by others. But real intention begins when we slow down enough to ask ourselves, oh, why am I doing this? Not just what am I doing, but a why. What is the purpose behind the hours I spend? Are they building something meaningful? Are they aligned with who I want to become? Or are they simply helping me stay distracted from the discomfort of not knowing? Using your 24 hours wisely doesn't mean filling every second. It means being present in the seconds that matter. It means choosing to focus on things that bring growth, healing, love, or peace, even if that means doing less. It means realizing that rest is not a waste of time, and that stillness is not laziness. Sometimes the most intentional thing you can do is pause and reflect. Sometimes using your time wisely looks like stepping back to find clarity instead of charging ahead without direction. There is power in how you choose to begin your day. There is purpose in how you choose to end it. Time is not something you lose, it's something you spend. You spend. And once it's spent, it doesn't come back. You cannot save time, but you can shape it. You can infuse it with meaning. You can use it to serve your dreams, or let it serve your distractions. Either way, the clock will keep ticking. What matters is whether each tick brings you closer to who you want to be. Gratitude is the foundation for meaningful action. So often, we search for motivation in the wrong places. We look for external validation, loud applause, or dramatic moments to inspire us into action. Into action. But the truth is, the most powerful drive doesn't come from outside. It starts in silence, in stillness, in something as quiet yet transformative as gratitude. When you wake up and start your day with a heart that is thankful, your entire perspective shifts. It says you're not ready, when in truth, you're just afraid to begin. And while you wait for the fear to leave, opportunities pass by, doors close, and moments that could have changed everything are lost to hesitation. The truth is, no time will ever feel perfect. You will never feel completely prepared. There will always be uncertainties, risks, things you don't know yet. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in motion. It happens when you dare to start, not knowing where it will lead, not having every answer, but showing up anyway. Progress is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about being willing to take the next step with what you have right now. We often imagine that one day something will shift. We'll wake up more motivated and more confident, more inspired. But waiting for that feeling can become a trap. Action doesn't follow motivation. Motivation follows action. The smallest step can spark the biggest change. saying yes to a challenge, trying something unfamiliar, speaking up even with a shaky voice. These moments create momentum, and with each step, fear begins to shrink. Not because it disappears, but because you grow. There is power in starting before you are ready. There is strength in choosing to move forward even when the path is unclear. Some of the most beautiful chapters of your life will begin, not with certainty, but with faith. Faith that you will figure it out, that you will adapt, that you will rise to the moment. Waiting for the right time often means postponing your own potential. And potential, left unused, turns into regret. Life is not waiting for your permission to begin. It is happening now in real time all around you. The people who inspire you most didn't wait for perfect timing. They began in the middle of the mess. They built their dreams while carrying doubt. They failed, they learned, they adjusted, and they kept going. That's how anything meaningful is created. Not with ease, but with persistence. You may feel like you're not qualified yet, not smart enough, not strong enough, not ready. But readiness is not a requirement for purpose. You can build confidence through doing. You can gain experience through trying. Every expert was once a beginner. Every story that matters began with someone deciding to begin. Life doesn't pause for you to gather courage. It teaches you courage by placing you in situations where you need to act despite the fear. The right time is a myth we create to avoid discomfort. But transformation lives inside that very discomfort. If you keep waiting until everything feels certain, you'll wait forever. There is no magical moment when everything aligns. There is only now. The moment you are in, the breath you are taking, the choice you can make. And in that choice lies the possibility of a different life. Pain is not the enemy. Regret is pain visits everyone. It's one of the few things in life that does not discriminate. It comes in many forms: loss, failure, rejection, betrayal, disappointment. No one escapes it. But pain, as difficult as it is, serves a purpose. It is a signal, a teacher, a mirror. It tells you something about your heart, your strength, your values. It forces you to feel, to slow down, to examine what matters. And when you allow it, pain can lead you to transformation. It can open doors within yourself that joy never touches. We spend so much time avoiding pain, running from it, numbing it, pretending it doesn't exist. We fill our days with distractions, convincing ourselves that if we don't acknowledge the ache, it will somehow disappear. But what we resist persists. Pain doesn't go away just because we ignore it. In fact, the more we avoid it, the more power it gains over us. And in that avoidance, we often make choices that lead to something far heavier. Regret. Regret is not loud like pain. It doesn't shout. It lingers in silence. It lives in the quiet corners of the mind, asking, what if? And why didn't I? It shows up late at night when the world is still, and you're left alone with your thoughts. It doesn't come from the mistakes you made, but from the chances you didn't take, the words you didn't speak, the life you didn't live. Regret is the burden of unexpressed potential. It is the slow, aching realization that you let fear choose for you. Pain can break you open, but regret slowly closes you off. It dims your light and makes you question your worth. It doesn't teach the way pain does. It haunts. It reminds you of the moments when you knew better, but didn't act, when you felt the spark but stayed silent, when your heart told you to move but you stood still. And regret is the consequence of living small in moments that asked for your boldness. Facing pain takes courage. It means being willing to sit in discomfort, to feel the weight of disappointment, to confront your own reflection. But in doing so, you grow. You learn what you're made of. You realize that pain, while it may shake you, does not have to define you. It can shape you into someone wiser, softer, more resilient. When you walk through pain, you earn your strength. You build it from the inside out. Choosing to embrace pain when it comes is an act of bravery. It means trusting that there is something on the other side of it. Clarity, healing, purpose. It means choosing growth over comfort. You may cry, you may fall, you may question everything. But in the process, you will discover parts of yourself you never knew existed. You will find new depths of empathy, new reserves of patience, new levels of self-awareness. But choosing to avoid pain out of fear often leads to a quiet kind of suffering. The kind that comes from staying in a job that kills your spirit, from holding back your truth, from letting someone else's opinion dictate your decisions. That's the kind of pain that turns into regret, not because you failed, but because you never gave yourself the chance to try. And that kind of regret is heavier than any temporary pain. The irony is, we fear pain so much that we forget how much it can give us. Pain demands our attention. It brings us back to ourselves. It strips away the superficial and reveals what's real. It tells us what needs to change, what needs to be let go, what needs to be healed. When we face it, we find meaning. When we run from it, we risk a lifetime of wondering what could have been. Comparison steals progress. Focus on your own journey. It is so easy to look at someone else's life and feel like yours is lacking. In a world that moves so fast, where success is measured in followers, likes, and highlight reels, it becomes almost automatic to measure your worth against what you see. You scroll through images of someone achieving what you're still dreaming about, someone standing on a stage you wish you were on, someone living a version of the life you want. And without even realizing it, you begin to shrink. Not because you are less, but because you have forgotten how to see yourself clearly. Comparison is subtle. It starts small, a glance, a thought, a passing feeling, but it grows quickly. It tells you that you're too late, too behind, too average. It convinces you that your pace is too slow and your voice isn't loud enough. And the more you listen to it, the more disconnected you become from your own path. The more you focus on someone else's progress, the more you overlook the beauty of your own becoming. You weren't meant to walk anyone else's path. Your story is yours for a reason. Your pace, your detours, your setbacks, they all have purpose. What looks like delay on the outside may be preparation on the inside. What seems like failure may be the foundation for something far deeper than quick success. But when you're constantly looking sideways, you miss what's right in front of you. You miss the quiet victories, the internal shifts, the personal growth that doesn't always show up in photos or headlines. Progress is not loud. It's not always public. Sometimes it's choosing to keep going when no one sees. Sometimes it's saying no to what's popular so you can say yes to what's real. Sometimes it's just getting out of bed, showing up with your full heart, trying again even when you're tired. These are the moments that build something lasting, something meaningful. But they can be hard to value when you're constantly comparing them to someone else's milestones. The truth is, everyone is struggling in ways they don't share. What you see is never the whole story. You see the wins, not the doubts that came before them. You see the smiles, not the sacrifices. You see the outcomes, not the sleepless nights, the rejections, the fears. And while you're measuring your behind scenes against their final product, you forget that your journey has its own timing. That you are not late, you are not lacked, you are not lacking, you are not less. You are simply unfolding at your own pace. When you stop comparing, you start noticing. You begin to appreciate the progress that used to feel invisible. You become more present, more aware, more intentional. You start living instead of performing. You begin to create, not to compete, but to express. You stop chasing someone else's version of success and begin building your own. You start honoring the steps you've taken, the battles you fought quietly, the courage it took just to keep moving forward. Comparison takes you out of alignment. It distracts you from your purpose. It makes you feel like you're always behind when in truth, life is not a race. There is no universal timeline. There is only your timeline, and it's unfolding exactly as it needs to. The people who seem ahead of you are not your competition. Their light doesn't dim yours. Their journey is not your blueprint. You're not here to replicate someone else's path. You are here to carve your own. Your progress is real, even if it looks different. Your pace is right, even if it's slower. Your path is valid, even if no one else understands it. Your story isn't over. Keep turning the page. There are moments in life that feel like endings, moments that knock the wind out of you, leave you breathless, wondering how you'll ever move forward. You lose something you thought you couldn't live without. You hear a no that echoes louder than any yos. You face a silence so deep that it convinces you your voice no longer matters. And in those moments, it's easy to believe that the story of your life has already been written, that the best chapters are behind you, and that nothing ahead could ever measure up. But that belief, no matter how convincing it feels, is not the truth. You are not your worst day. You are not the moment you broke down. You are not defined by the things that didn't go your way. Life is not a single chapter, and neither are you. There's more to you than the part of the story you're currently standing in. The pain you're holding, the questions you're carrying, the confusion that clouds your mind, they are not the conclusion. They are a paragraph, a sentence, a comma. They are part of the unfolding, not the end. Sometimes the page feels heavy. It sticks. It refuses to turn. It demands your patience. But just because you're stuck in a moment doesn't mean you're stuck in life. The page will turn. And when it does, you will see that the story didn't stop. It simply shifted. It asked you to pause, to breathe, to feel. And while it may not look like progress from the outside, something inside you is still moving, still stretching, still growing. There's a quiet strength in choosing to keep going, in deciding that your story deserves more, in believing that something new can still be written, even when the ink feels dry. You don't need to have all the answers to turn the page. You don't need to be certain of the outcome. You just need to be willing. Willing to trust that the unknown holds something worth discovering. Willing to believe that who you are becoming is far greater than what you've lost. Some chapters are not about achievement. Some chapters are about survival, about learning to sit with your own heart, about rebuilding your trust in life, one small piece at a time. Those chapters matter just as much. They are not detours. They are foundations. They teach you resilience, compassion, humility. They remind you that progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's soft, quiet, and deeply personal. The world often celebrates the big moments, the wins, the breakthroughs, the triumphs. But no one talks enough about the courage it takes to simply keep showing up when nothing feels certain. The bravery in starting again when your heart is tired. The grace in forgiving yourself for how long it's taking. These are the moments that build character, that shape your soul, that turn your story into something others will one day find strength in. You don't need to erase the hard chapters. You don't need to pretend they didn't happen. You just need to remember that they are not the whole book. There is more ahead, more healing, more connection, more discovery. You are still in the process of becoming. The ending has not been written. And sometimes the chapters that begin in the darkest places end up holding the most light. Every new morning is an invitation to continue, to write differently, to speak more kindly to yourself, to choose with intention, to walk with a little more hope. The pen is still in your hand and the page is waiting.